So good morning, Atlanta, and good morning, AMTA. Oh, a little bit more, come on. I'm so excited to be here in Atlanta with you, and as you can imagine, in planning for this conference and all its associated events, I've had Georgia on my mind for quite some time now. I'm so glad you all came to the conference from near and from far. Welcome to AMTA 2011, a progress report, this year's State of the Association address of the American Music Therapy Association. First of all, because we're a mission-driven nonprofit organization, our mission, as we heard in the song, is always our reference point for examining the state of the association and the progress we've made in the past year. To review, the mission of the American Music Therapy Association is to advance public awareness of the benefits of music therapy and increase access to quality music therapy services in a rapidly changing world. We must always strive to consider, support, and further the association's mission in the work of the Board of Directors, the Assembly of Delegates, various committees, councils and boards, state task force groups, ad hoc work groups, our publications, and our national office staff. Whether I'm at my desk communicating with you, reading AMTA publications, listening to podcasts, in meetings, at conferences, or traveling to represent AMTA, I am amazed and impressed on a daily basis by the active expressions of our mission in many ways. It's my pleasure and privilege today to discuss with you the many forms of progress we in AMTA have achieved this past year. Since this year's conference theme begins with advocacy, I'd first like to focus on AMTA's progress with advocacy. So then, on August 1st, 1991, so that was then, and this is now. On September 22nd, 2011, we gathered Judy Simpson, Harry Reid, Judith Pinkerton, and Rebecca Smith to celebrate the momentous 20th anniversary of the Senate hearing. Senator Harry Reid sent us the following message. It's my pleasure to congratulate the profession of music therapy on the tremendous progress made since the 20th anniversary of the U.S. Senate hearing, Forever Young, Music and Aging. I am proud to have been a part of that historic event, and am pleased to know the impact music therapists have had on the health and well-being of so many Americans over the years. As the research and evidence validating music therapy interventions has continued to grow, so too has the recognition of and attention to the scientific and other benefits of this important therapy. Music therapy deserves its rightful place as a viable treatment option at a time when our nation is focused on identifying cost-effective healthcare solutions. As I stated 20 years ago, music therapy is an innovative approach that won't widen the deficit, but can help millions of older people live happier, more fulfilling lives. Although the hearing was focused on older adults, research demonstrates music therapy is effective for individuals of all ages and all disabilities. Congratulations to the American Music Therapy Association and its members for the progress the profession has made since that exciting day. I stand ready to help you increase awareness of the important work you do and to hearing more about the successful role music therapy plays in our nation's healthcare and education. I would now like to call upon two of our esteemed colleagues who led us in the Senate hearing experience. Please join me in welcoming Brian Hunter and Kathy Knoll.
So about 1 week into this tornado of activity, I was going to say whirlwind, but that's just not, that doesn't describe it very well. Tornado of activity of putting together a Senate hearing. Portia Middleman, who is the staff coordinator for the United States Senate Special Committee on Aging, called me aside. And she said, "Kathy, are you a lobbyist?" And I said, "No, I'm a music therapist in Stephenville, Texas." And she said, "Oh, well, do you work with a lot of older people?" I said, "Actually, I contract services to public schools in my area." She said, "Then why are you here? And what are you doing? And why do you and Barb Crow and Brian Hunter and Alicia Clare and Jane Cregan and this little tiny office staff that you have at AMTA, what are you going to get out of this? I said, she said, how many grants do you want? And I said, not me, none, thank you. I mean, she was talking about me individually. She couldn't understand why we were so intense and why we were so excited and why we were putting together in 3 weeks a hearing that most people spend actually a year or sometimes longer. And I wouldn't have been there except that Andy Farbman was having a baby, literally on the day that I was talking to Portia. And Portia hadn't met her yet and then did later. A team of music therapy volunteers and our national office staff, which was tiny then and still is tiny now, worked 24/7 to pull together, find all of the witnesses, all of the everything, every detail. She said, you guys are doing a great job, just go for it. Every detail of that hearing. And I told her, I said, the reason we are here is because every day in our work, we see music making a huge difference in the lives of the people that we work with and that we spend time with in music therapy. We see that every single day. And so any opportunity we have to increase that, we're here to do that. And she said, I've just never met people like that.
Senator Reid said, go ahead and make history. And on August 1st, 1991, we did that. It was unlike any day before or since in Washington with a hearing about music therapy that included two firsts, the introduction by satellite from Senator Pryor and a musical coda by our own Ken Miedema. The last week in June of that summer, Dr. Farbman, about to go on maternity leave, was orienting me to serve as acting executive director for the summer, during which we thought that the biggest event would be moving the national office to Silver Spring. On her next to last day in the office, we answered a phone message from Jonathan Adelstein, aide to Senator Reid, and the next day he handed us a memo about a hearing already scheduled for August 1st on the benefits of music for elderly Americans, and he asked us if we could help him. We said, sure, we can do that. And then we walked out of his office and took a huge breath. I will never forget the look on Andy's face. She was hired originally as our government relations director, and she turned to me and said that the best that she had hoped to accomplish in the next 5 years was to get a single music therapy expert witness on someone else's hearing. And with near unbelief in her voice, she said, and they want to do a hearing just on music. You see, in Washington, next to getting a piece of legislation passed, having a hearing is the next biggest deal because, in part, it gives you a hearing record. And here is ours. It's like having a legislative Bible. Only problem was, in 2 weeks, she was about to have her own record. The board of directors authorized us to spend up to $50,000 on this event, and Kathy and I spent the next month together marshaling music therapy resources from both NAMT and AAMT from all over the country. We would go to Andy's house, and she would make the to-do list. Kathy would split them up between us, and in the following month, with no email, texting, or Facebook, all we had was the phone, fax machine, and snail mail, and we and the music therapy community turned it into a music therapy hearing, including handpicking 7 of the 10 witnesses. The hearing was so successful it resulted in national media coverage in every form and $850,000 in federal grants that started 18 months later. That's light speed in Washington terms. It was the biggest government and public relations event in our history to that point, and we learned that the country really wanted to know about music therapy. On August 1st, 1991, the music therapy profession became of age. And not until this year, with a film and a book about music therapy and Congresswoman Gabby Gifford's story, have we seen anything of the same magnitude. I have been contemplating how to characterize this year in contrast to 1991, and Dr. Farbman gave me the answer last night when she said, our day has come, which I would like to slightly modify to music therapy's day has come. Hang on, it's going to be a great ride.
While they're returning to their seats, if anybody else in the audience attended 1991 Senate hearing, please stand and be recognized. Thank you very much, Kathy and Brian, for sharing your reflections with us and for leading the charge. And if you haven't already seen, they're wearing their buttons from that day. So be sure to check those out. Okay, now, continuing with our progress with advocacy, through the U.S. Department of Labor, ONET, music therapy has been selected to receive a standalone occupational classification. This significant acknowledgement comes after many attempts over the past several years by AMTA to seek Department of Labor recognition. Judy Simpson, AMTA Director of Government Relations, AMTA board members, and CBMT Executive Director Joyce Neck and Regulatory Affairs Advisor Dina Register collaborated to submit support documentation and occupation expert information. I'm thrilled to report that the ONET Music Therapist Standard Occupational, it's a mouthful, classification title has been accepted by the Department of Labor. Look for this process to be completed on and online around 2013. What a huge accomplishment. AMTA and CBMT have a great collaboration in our state recognition plan, which was begun about 6 short years ago. Today, there are over 35 state recognition task forces in operation. And I'd like to congratulate the North Dakota and Nevada task forces for their advocacy in obtaining state licensure for music therapy. We thank Representative Lois Delmore from North Dakota and Senator Mo Dennis from Nevada for their support of music therapy. So we should give them a round of applause as well. Looking ahead, we anticipate introducing licensure regulation in 4 states, Georgia, Hawaii, North Carolina, and Oklahoma, and registry legislation in 4 states, Colorado, Indiana, South Carolina, and Washington. Our grassroots efforts continue to produce results. Thanks to all the hardworking task force members and the leadership of AMTA's Judy Simpson. Round of applause for all the state recognition people. Next, let's address AMTA's progress with technology. The AMTA website project was unveiled and went live in July. This monumental project created and managed a database product for taking payments and managing individual member information activities over the web. All the features of the product have and will continue to add functionality to our website and interactivity for individual users. The ability to manage your own information, pay for membership and other items, and search the online directory, etc. The new member management software was also used this year to accept conference registrations online for this conference, saving us over $8,000 by not using the contracted software we used in previous years. Secondly, we have redesigned and reformatted the portion of the website that's responsible for managing pages and information that is not covered by the online member management software. Here's what some of you had to say about the new AMTA website. I just went on the new website. It looks really nice. Many thanks to all who worked so hard. The new website is fabulous. Thumbs up on our new website. And wow, and congratulations to you all on a most successful launch. The number of hours and thought that has been put into this project, on top of keeping everything else going, boggles the mind. And I have enjoyed clicking around and looking at things. So let's give a round of applause to Barb Else and Angie Elkins. Moving on, each year AMTA has many special projects. I'll be highlighting only one this morning. Last fall, you heard about an exciting $400,000 bequest from the Eleanor Wilson Trust to benefit music therapy programming and education in the Puget Sound region. This is the largest single donation in AMTA's history. The project's kickoff meeting in March was hosted by Regional Project Director Patty Catalano in Seattle. Preliminary Exploratory research from interviews and project aims was presented. Attendees shared their visions and enthusiasm for the important work to be done in that area. They had advocacy training and a Hill Day. Patty is now working with agencies interested in creating anchor music therapy projects that will be sustainable beyond the life of the grant. And the first round of program announcements, including Pay It Forward microloans for music therapists and practicum development with Seattle Pacific University, was recently made. So next, I'd like to talk about our progress with disaster relief. In terms of disaster events, 2011 has been the most active year in its history where AMTA has offered some level of response. Here you see but a small fraction of the faces who have been involved in disaster response for and with our profession this year. We've been involved in supporting and/or coordinating disaster response activities and communications for disaster events affecting music therapy professionals and students, including members living outside the U.S. These events began on January 8th with the shooting in Tucson and have since included more than 11 events involving AMTA members. For events involving members overseas, including the Japan disaster and recent flooding in Thailand, AMTA coordinates with the World Federation and the Global Commission on Crisis Intervention led by Dr. Jean-Ann Behrens. The bulk of support consists of welfare inquiries, networking information, supplemental training, and psychological first aid. We're also most grateful to all the volunteers who have participated in fundraising for the AMTA Disaster Response Fund. Donations arrived from individual donors, regional student and state organizations. And this year, for the first time, the AMTA Disaster Response Fund has a booth in the exhibit hall. Several events related to disaster response and recovery are taking place during this conference, including a conscious drumming session facilitated by AMTA members Jim Borling and Yumi Sato later today. We're grateful to Alyssa Janney of Remo Drums, who reached out to AMTA expressing interest in supporting the music therapy community in times of disaster. Thanks also to West Music for its support in waiving shipping fees for replacement supplies. In terms of progress with member benefits and AMTA services, here are some key examples of the many member benefits and services provided by AMTA. We administer many scholarships and awards for both professionals and students. Be sure to check our website for details on these and the deadlines as well. Annual free institutes have become a popular member benefit, with this year's free institute on the topic of caring for the caregiver and the free CMTE related to internship supervision. Publications are a great service to the public and to our members. This year, we're pleased to release the new book entitled Music Therapy in Geriatric Populations, which was written by Melita Belgrave, Alice Ann Darrow, Darcy Walworth, and Natalie Wodarczyk. Please note that this and other publications are the results of intellectual property donations that benefit AMTA and the profession. Not only should we thank these authors for the valuable contributions, but we should thank Angie Elkins and Tana Grassi for their hard work on bringing these volumes to completion. If there are any authors, editors, or contributors to any AMTA books here, please stand to be recognized. A new member benefit in 2012 will be a Board of Directors special project, a webinar initiative inviting experts to present on a variety of topics still to be determined, so stay tuned for more details on that. We continue to make progress with education and clinical training. We're exploring ways to develop new academic programs in underserved markets or areas. Our Academic Program Approval Committee has approved and reapproved numerous undergraduate and graduate programs in music therapy this year. And national roster internship program numbers continue to increase. As of this November, we have 187 national roster internship programs, which is up from 184 last year. Okay. The Education and Training Advisory Board, or ETAB, has been hard at work. Their advisory on acronyms led to adoption of an acronym implementation plan. Be sure to read the FAQs and advisory on acronyms on our website before the policy goes into effect in January of 2012. The ETAB has also begun consideration of the option of master's level entry to the profession. This topic will be discussed tomorrow at the Assembly of Delegates meeting, as well as at regional town hall meetings in the spring of 2012. In terms of progress with scholarship, AMT is very fortunate to have Tom and Lucy Ott as benefactors. 3 years ago, they announced they would increase the Arthur Flagler Fultz Award from $10,000 to $15,000. So thank you to the Otts and David's Fund for your increased generosity. And as you heard last night, this year's Fultz Award was given to Beth Clark from Vancouver. Her study is entitled Music Therapy as a Pain-Modifying Intervention in Children with Life-Limiting Neurological Impairments and Metabolic Disorders. Congratulations once again, Beth. In regard to our outstanding journals, first I would like to say congratulations to our new editors, JMT's Sherry Robb and Music Therapy Perspectives' Tony Meadows, on nearing completion of their first year. So I think they deserve a round of applause, too. And secondly, in terms of the journals, I'd like to let you know there will be many advancements coming this year, with one of the most significant being online manuscript submission. So again, stay tuned for more details on this important development in 2012. Each year, AMTA moves forward, attaining progress with our strategic priorities, which are as follows. First, reimbursement. AMTA is very lucky to have the expertise of Judy Simpson and Rebecca Smith, who work tirelessly to assist membership in AMTA with the many intricacies of reimbursement for music therapy services. Reimbursement webinars are coming soon. An educator's presentation toolkit for use with students is being developed. Technical assistance on reimbursement continues, with detailed information provided to educators, clinicians, interns, and students regarding specific funding opportunities and challenges. In terms of outreach, AMTA continues to communicate with facility administration and billing departments interested in pursuing reimbursement for music therapy. Reimbursement committee members are contributing articles for a new online reimbursement bulletin that will begin in 2012. Our next strategic priority is research. I'm pleased to say that at last year's annual board meeting, the board endorsed the definition of evidence-based music therapy practice, which is, evidence-based music therapy practice integrates the best available research, the music therapist's expertise, and the needs, values, and preferences of the individuals served. On tap for current activity under strategic priority on research are two activities. The first is to provide guidance to AMTA members on music therapy intervention reporting standards and research protocols. When complete, this guidance will draw upon standards in the published research such as CONSORT or Consolidated Standards of Reporting Trials, trend or transparent reporting of evaluations with non-randomized designs, quorum, or the quality of reporting of meta-analyses, and the American Educational Research Association standards for reporting on empirical social science research. The guidance statement will draw upon and cite a recent publication by Drs. Robb, Burns, and Carpenter in the Journal of Health Psychology entitled Reporting Guidelines for Music-Based Interventions. The second activity involves development and provision of general guidance to the profession regarding music therapy research and the future. Our most recent strategic priority is in the area of autism. Tasks addressed this year by the Strategic Priority on Music Therapy and ASD Work Group, chaired by Marsha Humple and Darcy Walworth, include an autism updated fact sheet, list of research articles addressing music therapy and ASD, an annotated bibliography describing positive outcomes, recommendations for future research, and partnership development. An exciting outgrowth of this priority was a residency on autism spectrum disorders and music therapy at Berklee College of Music in October. A partnership with New England Autism Speaks offered events for families, professionals, and students entitled Autism Speaks and Sings. It is hoped that this program will serve as a prototype for collaborative programs with autism organizations, individuals with ASD and their families, universities with music therapy programs, and professional music therapists in each region. It's been a banner year for progress with public awareness, as we've heard, with music therapy seeing the most media attention since the Senate hearing on aging 20 years ago. In terms of international awareness for the music therapy profession, model music therapy programs across the U.S. and the world have been listed in February and September 2010 electronic documents called Music as a Natural Resource Compendium, Solutions for Social and Economic Issues, which was distributed by and featured at a high-level working session at the United Nations. The 9/11 Music Therapy Disaster Relief Project and many others were recognized in these volumes. A third compendium is now in process, and thank you to Dr. Barbara Hesser for bringing this opportunity to AMTA. As you probably know by now, in January 2011, the new movie, Music Never Stopped, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. And the movie's based on a story, The Last Hippie by Oliver Sacks. Julia Ormond's character is modeled after our own award-winning member music therapist, Dr. Connie Tomeno. The movie positively portrayed music therapy, and it has contributed to the advancement of music therapy. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it, and you can purchase your copy of the DVD through AMTA in the AMTA Village or online. And if you're here a few minutes ago for the awards, you know that their director just received the Special Cinema Advocate Award. Another story that's been given much media attention is the rehabilitation of Representative Gabrielle Giffords, with one of her primary therapies being music therapy. Just this week, there were stories about her journey on 2020, Nightline, CNN, and more. The general public was introduced to music therapy in another way when popular author Jodi Picoult's new book, Sing You Home, was released on March 1st. She was busy spreading the word about music therapy at book signing events across the U.S. and in the United Kingdom last spring. Jodi carefully researched our profession, consulting with Suzanne Hanser and her colleagues and students at Berklee College of Music, and shadowing a number of other New England music therapists. I was fortunate to meet her and her musician collaborator, Ellen Wilbur, on March 1st at Berklee. This book is a great read, and although Jodi was not able to be here with us, she did send her acknowledgement and appreciation of the Literary Advocate Award that we gave her today. And another book was also published this year. British author Alison Pearson released her book entitled I Think I Love You, and this book too has a character who's a music therapist. She also carefully researched music therapy for this book. And if you haven't read this one, this is a good read too. And both books will be made into movies, so that's pretty amazing, isn't it? I'm sorry? They're available in audio too. And if you go to the Amazon site, go through AMTA for an additional 5% contributed to AMTA. Commercial announcement. AMTA was able to capitalize on all the media exposure for music therapy this spring with a 2-month media campaign with the firm of Giles Communication. This connection garnered us placements and opportunities in 42 regional and national media outlets, including the Huffington Post. I have to say that never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that this opportunity would present itself, so be sure to watch for my future columns on the Huffington Post. I'm excited to report that even in these tough economic times, our funding base is strong. Despite our fluctuating economy, AMTA continues with a long-term financial strategy that maximizes outside revenues so we may conduct our many important projects. In terms of our investments, our conservative posture continues, and as an organization, we are maintaining our financial stability thanks to conservative spending by the national office, nimble budgeting on the part of the board, successful sales of our publications, and more. I'm pleased to report that we ended last year's fiscal year with $78,000 in surplus, and we increased our total net assets to $360,000. You've heard about our efforts to further create a culture of giving in AMTA, and our work is very important, the timing is critical, and success is only possible with your contributions. How can you give? Choose what you're passionate about. Give of your time, of your expertise, or your funds. And to quote Winston Churchill, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. I challenge you to give every year in some way. You can donate to AMTA's General Fund, Research Fund, or Disaster Relief. You can give a day to AMTA with workshops and CMTEs or webinars, and we know many of you already give in so many ways, so thank you for all you do. What kind of progress is necessary in the future? This is our 2020 vision. To accomplish my vision, we need you to help increase our membership, It's time to find ways to embrace diversity in our ranks. Many of you can mentor young leaders. We must grow our workforce and develop new academic programs. I ask you to make a personal commitment. How can you help? What part of the vision are you? By this time next year, well, actually, by October next year, when we meet again in the Windy City, what will you have accomplished in moving us closer to our 2020 vision? So thank you very much for listening to our progress report, and thank you to our production team for this presentation. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve as president of the AMTA. Although my term is coming to a close, I promise to continue working on your behalf and on behalf of our clients and their families. It's my hope that we will engage in continued collaboration with other AMTA members and leaders, CBMT, and other organizations to help us achieve our many important goals. Thank you to all our volunteer leaders and to our staff. Your teamwork and collective efforts have made my job much easier. Thank you to all my friends and colleagues for your continued support as we progress and reach new heights.